Okay, and then I can have a sit down. Okay, right. Now, posture, upper body posture. Now, let's talk about the spine. Shall we start there? We'll talk about the spine. So if you imagine you were looking in a textbook, I'm sure you've seen loads of pictures of the spine, and it's got those natural curves in it, hasn't it? Okay. So if you are sitting up nice and tall, you'll have a little inwards curve here in the lower back and a little outwards curve in the upper part of the back. Okay, so it's all nicely stacked. It's like building blocks. They all stack up nicely when it's in that position. There's no stress on the spine. There's no stress in the lower back. Everything is balanced perfectly. The problem is with our lifestyles, okay, how often do we sit like this? Okay, I've got to be honest, I don't. Okay, I don't do it all the time. When I'm tired, I usually end up like this. Okay, and a lot of us sit like this, and this becomes quite normal. Okay, but we've got to try and get ourselves from this position to this position. So today, I'm hoping that, if nothing else, this workshop will make you more aware of your sitting posture. Okay, we'll start with sitting posture. So it's going to make you aware of how you're sitting. So you go from that slumped sit to sitting up nice and tall. So what happens when we sit like this? Okay, now as you can see straight away, can't you, that I'm sort of curved over at the front, I'm hunched forward. So what is happening to the body when we are in this position a lot, okay, is the chest gets affected and the upper back gets affected, okay? So what we've got to try and do is alter that. But the problem with being in this position is these muscles in the upper back, they lose their strength over time. If we sit in this position, they become weak. They almost become stretched a little bit and they lose their strength. So they find it really hard to start working and contracting and pulling us back up to this position. At the same time, the muscles in the front of the chest get really tight because we are closing everything down in the front of the chest. The shoulders come round a little bit. These muscles in the chest, they start to shorten and they become tight. So then we find it difficult to open out the chest because everything's so tight. So you've got two things going on. You've got this tightness in the front of the chest and the weakness in the upper back. So if you combine the two, you haven't got the strength to hold yourself, but at the same time, you're restricted by the tightness in the front of the chest. So when we're looking at postural exercises, we need to look at both areas. Neck pain, neck and shoulder pain. It all comes from this postural position, because what happens is your head can't balance right on the top of your spine, okay? So what it does is it does this. So your head pokes forward, can you see? Chin comes forward, head pokes forward. And then you get a really big kink in the back of the neck, and that is really uncomfortable, okay? You just end up sometimes it almost feels like you're fixed in that position and you just can't get out of it, okay? So as well as the chest and the upper back, we've got to lengthen out the back of the neck as well, so we can get rid of that tension and that tightness, because being in that forward head position, all these little muscles in the back of the neck are getting really short and tight as well, so we need to lengthen those out as well. So that is basically what is happening. Well, it's one of the common postural faults that you'll find in someone. I've picked this one because it's one of the most common, so I guess it was probably one of the best ones to go with. Okay, but you're probably wondering, well, how do we get into this position in the first place? Well, for a lot of people, it might simply be the job that you've been doing for years. I'm back in this position again. Okay, computers. Okay, you're there 8 hours a day. You're in this position. Some of you are really good. I know if you've got a good chair and a good setup and your computer's at the right height, it's much easier to sit upright. But we get lazy, especially as the day goes on and we get a little bit tired. It's so much easier to come back into this position, isn't it? Any job where you are having to lean forward or look over, you'll start to get that forward shoulder posture. Okay. There are a lot of other things as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be your job. It could be something you enjoy doing. I've been doing a lot of it in the last 12 months, and I know a lot of people I've been talking to have as well. Gardening. Okay, out in the garden, you're bending over. Um, so you've got that forward posture again. Um, Sports, that's another thing. If you are quite active and you play certain sports like racket sports, so tennis, golf. I feel like I should be standing up to do this. Golf, because you're swinging the arm and you're shortening those chest muscles. Yes, if it's tennis, you're only using the one arm, but what's happening then? You're tightening up one side of the body more than the other, so you might find you've got more problems on that side. Okay, golf is another one. Okay, you've still got that bit of forward posture as you lean over. Um, Walking. Now, I love walking, okay, as you probably know, I've been posting a lot of my walks with the dog lately, okay, but even then, we don't necessarily stand upright all the time, or we're not that aware of our posture. We don't consciously go around thinking of it all the time, and sometimes we can just have a little bit of a forward lean, especially if we've already got the tendency to come forwards a little bit. So we've just got to, we'll talk more about standing posture on Friday, but that was just another example. So anything where you feel like you're doing something quite repetitive, whether it's your job, whether it's a sport. Oh, cycling, that's another one. Cycling, okay, because you're forwards, you're holding onto the handlebars, okay. That's another one. That'll tighten up the chest as well. So all of the things that you've been doing for years are just starting to contribute a little bit to this round shouldered appearance. So you've got this weakness in the upper back, the tightening of the chest, and then you just get the aches and pains in your neck and shoulders. So enough talking. Let's do something, shall we? So the first thing I'll want to do with you is to do like a little posture check, I suppose you could call it. So if you are sitting now on your dining room chair, we can do this together. It's nice and easy. So all I'm doing, I'm sitting on my chair. I've got my feet about hip width. I haven't got my back against the chair. I'm just forwards a little bit. Now, you remember earlier I said about the spine, the shape of the spine. It's like building blocks. You stack them up on top of each other. They're nicely stacked. They're nicely supported. And you don't put any pressure on the lower back, okay? So what we're going to do now is we're going to see if we can find that sort of perfect sitting alignment. So the first thing you need to do is find your sitting bones. So the sitting bones are the bones you sit on, okay? They're at the bottom of the pelvis, okay? So you need to make sure you're sitting on them. So what I want you to do is I want you to sit on your hands, okay? And as you sit on your hands, you'll feel those sitting bones, okay, and that's the part of your bum you need to sit on, okay, and as soon as we do that, it'll make you feel more upright, okay. So this is me sitting on my sitting bones. For a lot of people, the pelvis sort of tilts backwards a little bit, okay, so we've sort of rocked backwards off the sitting bones, okay, and then we've lost that posture already before we even start. Quite often this is how we sit. We don't sit right up on the sitting bones. We sort of end up rocking back on them a little bit, okay? So when you find your sitting bones and you try and sit up on them, if you're not used to sitting like that, it might feel like you're almost leaning forwards a little bit, okay? Because we're just not used to sitting in that way. But that's what we need. We need to sit on those bony bits in our bum, the sitting bones, okay? Now the great thing is that will do a lot of the work for us. So as soon as you find those sitting bones, okay, your spine will start to stack itself how it wants to stack. Okay, so you start to get those nice natural curves in the spine. So you should have just a little inwards curve in the lower back, okay, and then a very gentle slight curve outwards. I can't really show you in sitting, can you? But I'm sure you know what I mean, in the upper part of the back, okay. Now, shoulders. Let's do shoulders next. I'll turn back around this way. Imagine you've got two bags of two bags of sugar, okay? Two bags of sugar. I want you to put your sugar on your shoulders so they're balanced. And the weight of the sugar is going to keep those shoulders down, okay? It's going to keep them down. So while the shoulders are down there, we can figure out what is going on with your head, okay, and your neck, I should say, okay. So, but if you've already found the sitting bones, hopefully that's just brought your head up a little bit more, okay. So the back of your neck is straighter, but with the shoulders down, and then imagine you've got a thread or well, let's use a helium balloon. A helium balloon on a piece of string attached to the top of your head, and it's floating up towards the sky. And as it floats up, it's pulling you up. But it's more importantly, it's lengthening out the back of the neck. Okay, so the back of the neck is nice and straight. Okay, I'm making sure that my chin isn't up or pointing forwards. I'm sort of nodding the chin to the chest a little bit there. Okay, and you know when you've got that nice neck position because you'll feel that your cheekbones are sitting more over your collarbones, okay? If you're still in this position, you can see cheekbones aren't over my collarbones, are they? So I feel like I'm just pulling my head back a little bit, okay? Stacking it right on the top of my spine, so it's nicely balanced. Nice straight neck at the back, okay? Bags of sugar still on the shoulders. And that is your your posture check for sitting. Okay, so you're sitting up nice and tall before you do anything. What you don't want to do, really, if you're trying to focus on your posture, is work from a bad posture position because you will just encourage the muscles to fix you more in that position. What you need to do first is to find a nice spinal alignment like we've just done. Make sure the neck is nicely aligned. And then when you do the exercises, the muscles get used to being in this position and they'll fix you in this position, which is this good posture position, which is what we want. Okay? So let's do some of the exercises then this time, shall we? So we'll start off with the shoulders. We'll just do some nice little shoulder rolls. So we're just going to roll the shoulders round. Okay, that's all we're going to do. So I'll just keep talking while we're doing this, shall I? Okay, just make them nice and big. Just take them all the way up to the ears. So whenever you're doing your postural exercise, particularly when we're looking at the neck and the shoulders, you want to make sure that you're nicely warmed up because those muscles that run up the neck are really quite small, so it'd be easy to pull them. Let's change directions, go the other way, shall we? Okay, so nice, you want to be nicely warmed up before you do it, okay? And then relax the shoulders there. Now, let's shrug the shoulders up to the ears. So we're going to shrug the shoulders up, and then we're just going to gently let them come back down. And as you let them come back down, imagine you've got a bag of sugar again on each shoulder. Okay? Take the shoulders up, and then let them come back down. Bag of sugar on each shoulder, and then we take them up again. Okay, so we just want to just get a little bit of movement, warm up the shoulders, warm up the neck a little bit. Wonderful. Okay. The next one, I like this next one. It's a nice one to warm up the shoulders, but it's also starting to open out the chest. Remember that tightness that we want to try and release in the chest? It's going to help with a little bit of that this time. So we're going to come into this position. So this is the dumbwaiter position. So all we're going to do, we're going to keep the elbows tucked into the waist while you're sitting up nice and tall, and just take the hands out to the side. And then we're going to bring them back and then take them out again. Okay, so you've still got a bag of sugar on each shoulder. You're still sitting on those sitting bones. Okay, wonderful. I was just thinking of something else, but I don't think I'll mention that just yet. I'm just skipping ahead a little bit. Okay, so let's do it one more time. We're going to take the arms out. We're going to keep them out there. Okay, so we're opening out the front of the chest. We're going to lift the elbows up now, and you're going to bring your fingers up into a point above your head, like you're putting the roof on your top of your house, okay? And then we'll bring the elbows back down into the waist, and then bring them back around. So we'll do it again. We'll take hands away, lift the elbows up, fingers come up into a point, and then we'll bring the elbows back down. Wonderful. Now, as you lift the arms this time, just be aware of where your elbows are. Make sure they're right out at the side. I can just see mine just out of the corner of my eye. Okay, because what we don't want is to keep the chest closed down. So we don't want to lift the arms in this position. Can you see now? My elbows are in front of me. That's opening out the chest and giving it a stretch. We need them out to the side. Let's just do it one more time, shall we? I like this one. It feels quite nice. Okay. Now, could add a little bit more into it so we really get that nice opening now through the chest. So we'll send the arms up again. We'll keep them there this time. The elbows are nice and wide. What we're going to do is we're going to open out the arms and you're just going to float them down. And that is when you will feel that nice opening, that nice stretch. Bring the arms back to the starting position. We'll do it again. Lift the elbows, put the roof on, straighten out the arms, lower them down, back to the starting position. And remember, if you want to get that really nice stretch, you've got to be sitting on the sitting bones with that spine nicely stacked. Wonderful. Let's just give those shoulders a little roll around. Okay. So that's opened out the chest a bit. It's giving it a little bit of a stretch. The shoulders and the up around the neck and everywhere, they're just starting to get a little bit warmer now. So what we'll do, let's just focus on the neck itself this time. We'll do a little bit of mobility just to make doubly sure it's nice and warm. And then I'm going to show you how to stretch that neck. So very simply, you're just going to turn your head. So you're still sitting up nice and tall. You're going to turn your head to one side. Now don't force it as it goes round. Just take it as far as you can. And then bring it back to center, and then take it the other way. So you might feel that it's easier on one side. Okay, you might feel that one side feels quite a bit tighter. That's quite normal. Quite often we've got some sort of imbalance somewhere. We're tighter on one side than the other. Okay, and we'll just do it again. I think we'll just do one more on each side, shall we? So nice and steady. Going around one way and the other. Okay. Now we'll lengthen out the back of the neck first, because if you're in this hunched forward position, you've got that kink in the back of the neck. Those muscles are shortening, so let's lengthen that little bit out first. So sit up nice and tall again. Bags of sugar on the shoulders. All I want you to do is drop your chin down to your chest. So you're not forcing the chin down. It is literally the weight of your head. Okay, it's just your head hanging there, and that is what gives you that nice stretch down the back of the neck. Okay, and that's all we're doing, and that feels really nice this morning. So we'll look up again. We won't hold it too long. Okay, and then we'll do it again. So we're going to drop the chin down to the chest. Get that nice little stretch. And then we'll come all the way back up to sitting. And that feels better already. So let's stretch the side of the neck. Side of my neck always gets quite tight. So what we're going to do is we're just going to look straight ahead. And then you're just going to tip your head to one side. Now, I woke up with a stiff neck this morning. So these exercises are really good for me. I think I must have been sleeping funny in the night. Okay, so I'll tip my head to one side. Now, what you should feel as you tip your head over, that you get a nice stretch down the side of the neck. Just taking it in that position, that might just be enough for you. Okay, if it's pulling, then that's enough. Don't force it over. Again, it is just the weight of the head. Still got the sugar on the shoulders. Okay, now you might want to take it a little bit further, but only if it's comfortable, it feels good. You're going to take your hand and you're just going to rest it on your head. Now, it's a very light rest. Okay, don't pull it. Again, it's just the weight of your hand. You can just put very light weight on it to start with. That's all I'm doing. Okay, very light weight. It just increases the stretch in the side of the neck a little bit. We're not going to hold it too long. We're going to move that hand away. You're going to put your hand the other side, and you're going to push your head back up. And then we'll do it on the other side. So we tip the head one way. Well, that's it. That's the tight bit. Okay, so we'll just leave it there for a few seconds. Keep the sugar on the shoulders. Okay, take your hand again. And just very lightly, just rest your hand on your head. Very light. Don't press it. It doesn't got to be the whole weight of the hand. Just a little bit, just enough so you just feel maybe a little increase in that stretch. Then move the hand away. Other side of your head. Bring it back up. Okay, that just supports the head because your head is quite heavy. You just stretch those muscles, and don't forget those muscles are quite small in your neck. So we don't want to stretch and then we've got to make them work to come back up. We want to support those muscles and keep them nice and protected. So that's why we use the hand to come back up. And how does that feel? Well, that feels a bit better. I've only done one, so that feels a bit better for me this morning. Right, okay, I'm just going to take a little breather because I've been seeing comments popping up. I just want to make sure that I'm not missing anything. I don't think I am. Right, I'll just let that do its thing for a minute. I'll just have another look in a second. Okay, right. So we've lengthened out the back of the neck. We've done the mobility for the shoulders, and we've opened out the chest a little bit. But we need to open it out a little bit more. Okay, so the stretching is an important part because really when you're working on your posture, well, any part of the body really, if you've got one side of the body that's tight and the other side of the body is a bit weaker because those muscles have lengthened and stretched, you need to stretch out the tight muscles first because these weaker muscles at the back, they won't work as well. They won't be able to activate as effectively before until after you've stretched these muscles at the front. So you need to stretch first before you do the strengthening on the opposite side of the body. So that's what I'm going to show you now. We're going to do another one. We've already done this one. Okay, it's a nice one to start with. It's a nice gentle one. I'm just going to turn my chair around. Okay, this is another one. This is a nice one, but you've just got to be careful how you do it. Don't overdo it. Okay, we're going to hold on to the back of the chair. This is why a dining room chair is handy as well. Okay, now it depends on the length of your arms. Okay, it depends on what type of chair it is, how big it is. It will depend on where you feel most comfortable holding onto your chair. Okay, but somewhere at the back of your chair. Okay, I'm just shuffling forwards a little bit more. Okay. I'm holding on. Now I'm sitting up on the sitting bones and I want to keep everything nice and straight. Okay, but what I want to do now is I want to lean forwards. But as I lean, I want the movement to come through the hips. I don't want to do one of those. That's not a lean, is it? That's more of a slump. So we sit up nice and tall and then I just want to lean forwards. And you see I'm leaning forwards in my chair, but I'm keeping hold of the back of it. Okay, now just go as far as you can. As I said, you might just need to adjust your arms, find the right position for you until you start to feel a nice little stretch going through the chest. You might feel it in the front of the shoulders as well, which is okay. And then we can come back. And you can do it again. You can do it a couple of times if you want to. So I'll do it one more time. I'm just going to lean forwards. Feel that nice little stretch in the front of the chest and then come all the way back up. Wonderful. So that's our stretch. So we've got two stretches. I'll turn back around again. So now I'm just going to show you one strengthening exercise in sitting. I'm going to do the others on the mat and I'm going to show you those because we can work against gravity and we can make them a little bit more effective. So the pencil squeeze this time. This is our strengthening one for the upper back. So you've got to imagine now that you've got a pencil between your shoulder blades and bring the arms out into this position. So what we're going to do is we're going to see if we can draw the arms back behind us. Okay, so you can see already we've just stretched out the chest, so it should make it easier to come into this position. As you draw those arms back, I want you to imagine that you're squeezing the pencil between your shoulder blades. You've got to think of squeezing the shoulder blades together. We'll only hold it for a second or two, and then we'll just release the arms. And then we're going to Pull the arms back a little bit. Squeeze the pencil between the shoulder blades and you release. And again, squeeze the shoulder blades. We don't want to do it too much because you might just feel this one in the running across the top of the shoulders. Nice big squeeze to finish with, and then release. Okay, so that's why we did the stretching first and the mobility. We warmed up, we stretched, because then it makes it's easier to go into those sort of exercises where we want to work the upper back. So that was more of our strengthening exercise. Okay, so I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm just going to move my chair. I've got another one for you. I'm going to show it you on the mat. Okay, so you can just watch this one if you're really keen. You may have already got your mat out this morning. You can have a go with me. So I'm going to move that to one side. I think you can see me there, can't you? Okay, I think that'll work. I can put my towel. Right, okay, so we're going to do an exercise called the swan. I've got my towel rolled up because I need some support for my head. Okay, so I'm going to come down and I'm going to have my arms in this position. And it's basically the same exercise that I've just shown you in the chair. But because we're lying down on the floor, if you felt it across here when you were doing it in the chair, you shouldn't feel it quite as much when we're face down, just because of the position that we're in. And we're targeting those muscles right in between the shoulder blades much better in this position. So I'm going to come down onto the mat. Okay, my head is down, the arms are out to the side. Okay, can you see me? I'm just checking. Okay, so shoulders down. So I'm still doing my bags of sugar even though I'm in this position. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to float the arms up off the floor. Now hopefully you can see I'm not floating too high, maybe 3 or 4 inches. Okay, and then lower back down. Okay, so I just float a little bit and then lower them back down. Okay, and I'm still thinking about squeezing the pencil. So I'm squeezing the pencil between the shoulder blades and then lower them back down. Now, you could move this one on a little bit, so you can float the arms up and keep them hovering. Keep squeezing the pencil as you draw the elbows down to your hips, and then take the arms back to that starting position. So we keep squeezing the pencil, draw the elbows to the hips, and release the arms. And again, elbows to the hips. I'll just do it one more time. Okay, so it's really working those upper back muscles, because it's those upper back muscles that we need to strengthen because they've been in that lengthened forward position. Okay, so I'm not going to do any more on the mat. Oh, I'm going to bring my chair back. Oh, it's quite warm in here. Now, would you believe it? I'm still having trouble seeing the comments because my laptop has decided it's going to not load Facebook, so I can't see what's going on. Now, just bear with me a second because it's so warm in here. I'm just going to have a quick drink. Okay, right. Let me grab my piece of paper. So, those are the exercises, okay? I wanted to keep it really simple. I didn't want to do too much because sometimes some people feel overwhelmed. Sometimes you can be bombarded with so much information, so many exercises, you just can't remember them. So hopefully there was 1 or 2 in there that felt good. Those are the ones that I want you to practice again, okay? So over the next week, practice them again every day. Do them once, you can do them once a day, do them twice a day, okay? But it's in that consistency and keeping regular sort of exercise practice going that you will see the results of regular movement, okay? So pick 1, pick 2, and stick to them for this week. See how you get on. The one that you really need to practice as well is that first one we did, just finding the sitting bones and sitting up nice and tall. Because remember, it's no use exercising from this position because you'll get stuck in this position even more, and the exercise just don't work. It won't be effective exercising. You need to start in that nice upright sitting posture to make those exercises really effective. So If you remember at the beginning, I said stay to the end because I'm going to share with you the magic key to unlocking tension and tightness in your body. And I've already felt that a bit this morning with my funny neck that I've woken up with. All it is so simple, but we just often miss it because it is so simple. All you need to do to start releasing the tension and the stiffness in your body is just by moving more. That is all you need to do. It is as simple as that. Now, what you need to do is move in ways that you're not used to. So you might say, like my example earlier, well, I am active, I play golf, I play tennis, I like to ride my bike, I do loads of walking, I spend hours in the garden, and that's great. But if you think about it, you're doing the same action over and over again. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to work your body in a different way, a way that it's not used to doing. Everything we do in our lives, it brings us into this forward position. Just even sitting on the sofa at night, watching the TV. Okay, we sort of come into this position so easily. What we don't do is encourage our body to move the other way. So we're very good at flexing forwards and closing the body down, but we're not so good at opening out the body and extending the spine and opening everything up so everything is stacked up nicely and feels better. So that's what we need to encourage our body to do. And the only way we can do that is by regular movement, and it is as simple as that. This is another reason why I wanted to keep the exercises simple and short, so that it gives you a chance to fit them into your day. So when you've picked your 1 or 2 exercises, and you can see how quickly we've gone through all of those today, it will only take you a couple of minutes, won't it? Just the time it takes to make a cuppa. Okay, you can have done a couple of those exercises. And of course, the more you practice them, the better you get at them. You don't have to think about it so much. It becomes more natural and everything becomes easier. You might find this exercise becomes easier. You're getting more movement through the shoulders. Okay, so it's all about regular movement. It doesn't need to be hard. It doesn't need to take loads and loads of your time. And as you can see today, I've only showed you one exercise on the mat. You see, so you haven't even got to get your exercise mat out. Okay, so now my teaching, I suppose I've developed it. I've been teaching women now women over 50s. Well, since I started actually, I can't remember how long. I think we're coming up to about 7, 8 years now, somewhere like that. And I love working with this age group. It's great because they seem to see the results quite quickly. But they're also the ones that feel that there's some things that they just can't do. And they're amazed when they realise that actually, well, they can. They might not be able to do it as well as they could when they were in their 20s, but they can certainly start to move much better with some regular practice. And the way that I teach it is that I structure all of my classes, and inside my membership, it is all structured in a way, regardless of what level you're at, whether you're starting at beginner or improver, or even more advanced than that, that you work through the levels and through the exercise in a certain way. I called it my LCP method for movement. I even forgot to call it LCP method for movement. 3 little points to think about when you are practicing. So the first thing you need to do is learn the exercises. Okay, so that's what we've done today. Okay, I showed you how to do them. You've learned those exercises. The next thing you need to do is to check your basic principles. So your basic principle today would be sitting up tall. Finding the sitting bones, stacking your spine, making sure you've got those nice natural curves. And then all that's left is to practice, but practicing consistently. Okay, so doing a little bit, even if it's only 5 minutes a day, or you might feel that 20 minutes every other day works for you, whatever it is, okay, is better than once a fortnight. Okay, it's just keeping it consistent and just doing a little bit every day or so. Okay, so what else do I need to tell you? I think that's all the exercises. I hope that has sort of given you some idea this morning about why we have this round-shouldered appearance, what can cause it, and the muscles that need to we need to look at and exercise to get us out of that position. Okay, so it links nicely with the lower body. We really can't just do the top half of the body without the lower part, so that's why I'm doing the second part on Friday. Okay, but it's giving you a good start, and it's certainly a good way to make you more aware of your sitting posture. Okay, so it doesn't matter where you are in terms of exercise at the minute. You might have joined this group because you're just starting out, you haven't done exercise for years and you want to get back into it. You might be a seasoned pro with Pilates and you've been doing it for a few years, but believe me, I still take my most advanced people back to the basics like we've done today every now and again, because it's so easy to forget them. You're so hung up in doing all the big moves and all those powerful moves and working the abdominals, you just forget the real fundamental basics that give us the support and the control that we need when we do those more advanced exercises. So if hopefully you're feeling a bit inspired, a bit really enthusiastic about keeping your body moving now you've done today, especially over the next couple of days if you keep doing a little bit. So what I have done today is I've opened the doors to my membership. Okay, so that membership, it's a monthly membership. It's suitable for whatever level you are at the moment, whether you're just starting out as a beginner, whether you are more experienced and you just want some routines to follow. It's all in there for you. There are tutorials, it guides you through, demonstrates every exercise for you. And there's some how-to videos for beginners as well on how to set yourself up. And of course I'm there, I'm in the group, in the membership I should say, to support you and guide you through. You can drop me little messages, I can help you out. So it's not a membership where you're in there on your own and you just get on with it. I am there. You can reach out and let me know if you're having any problems. Now, I'm going to put the link to the membership in the description of this video when we finish. So if you want to have a read of it, then you can just have a click on there and read it through in your own time. I'm not going to mention any more about that membership, but it's there if you want to have a look. What I really wanted you to get out of today was to realize what your posture is like, to make you more aware of it, and just to remind you that really that it's just the simple things that you need to do to start feeling better in your body and getting more movement. As we get a little bit older, we start to feel all those aches and pains, and then suddenly one day you find that there's just something you can't do. I have so many ladies who say to me, have I got to get down on the floor because once I get down I just can't get back up again. And I've had so many people who said that to me over the years, and it is amazing really, because they can't get back up. And there's a way that I show people how to get back up. It's nice and easy. It takes a bit of practice, but they get there. I've never had anyone who hasn't been able to get up off the floor. So it's the membership and all the support that you get in there. It is there really to support you and hopefully to inspire you and to push yourself a little bit further than perhaps you think you can take your body. You may feel that, well, I can't do that because I can't lift my arm up. But really, providing it's just a muscular problem, there's nothing seriously wrong going on, and it's just muscular problems, even lower back. I get so many people with hips as well. It's amazing. They just do a little bit of exercise, and sometimes when my kids are running, they normally do 4 to 6 weeks with me as a little introductory course, and by the time they get to the end of it, they're already telling me that they can feel a difference. Things are starting to improve. They feel better. And they can just lift their arms up, and whatever their problem was, things are starting to get a little bit easier. So this is your chance. If you feel like you've got to that point and you know you should do something, but perhaps if you're fairly new to Pilates, you're not quite sure where you should be starting, then the membership is a nice place to start. It will just guide you through from the beginning to progress to more advanced. Okay, so hopefully I've inspired you a little bit today. I hope I have. And more than anything, I just hope you take some of these exercises, 1 or 2 exercises away, and you keep practicing them. for, say, the next week. Keep practicing for a week. Try that a couple of minutes in the morning, a couple of minutes in the evening, and see if it starts to make a difference. And add in Fridays when we do Friday session as well. Okay, you can try them all together over the weekend. Okay, have I got anything else to tell you? I feel like if I just carry on now, I'm just going to start rambling. So I think it's probably a good point to stop.